Hi, I'm Scott Hoke. He is known to so many simply as the King. Richard Petty is the most decorated driver in NASCAR history. His unsurpassed record includes 200 race victories, 7 of those at the Daytona 500, along with 7 NASCAR championships. Well, 2 of the King's crown jewels are part of Todd Werner's rare and amazing collection. They are a 1970 Superbird and a 1971 Roadrunner. These 2 cars will be offered for sale as part of Mecum's Harrisburg, Pennsylvania event. So please join us for the next 30 minutes as Mecum presents the Todd Werner collection.
Richard Petty is the king of our sport. He had all the stuff that would make everybody want to be associated with him.
The crown's still on his head, baby. He is the king.
When you went to work for the Pettys, it wasn't if you were going to win, it's how much you were going to win by.
When you walk up and talk to Richard Petty, it's like going to the Smithsonian of NASCAR. You know what I mean? When you see these cars, they're part of that.
The car was half car and half race car. Now they're all race cars. And way back, they were all just stock cars. So this was the changing moment in NASCAR.
It fell in my lap. It just happened to be the most recognized automobile in American history, the King's car. All I wanted was the top, the winners. And when these manufacturers are throwing money at racers, and there's one racer that, oh, he's here, great, we're fighting for second place. I want that guy's car.
That Petty Blue, man, it meant success. It meant we're coming here to win. We brought the best car, we brought the best driver, we brought the best team. We're gonna leave with the money, we're gonna leave with a trophy. That's just what it was.
When you get to walk through the garage area with the Petty shirt on and you're one of the primary guys that's working on the car, that's a lot of pride.
These guys were men, and that's how simple it was. You didn't drive like this. You put one hand here and one hand here, and when you got to the corner, you came all the way to here. You know what I mean? And that was because of the bi-split tires. That was because of the deflection in the ball joints. That was because you were running a stock front end, basically a stock chassis under these things in a lot of ways.
The workload was high, they were hot, they didn't, the best driving car drove like crap, right? It was just a different way to drive a race car than what you see today.
They were tough. They were mentally some of the toughest individuals that I've ever run across in my life. Pearson, Bobby, Donnie, Baker, Pete Hamilton, my dad, Goldsmith, those guys that raced during that period of time, they were just incredibly tough individuals.
So it'll be Richard Petty, car number 43, 71 Plymouth, winning for the 3rd time here at Daytona.
The 60s were probably pretty good. Basically, I just started driving in 60 as far as cup stuff's concerned. And then, had a heck of a year in 67. We had some good years before, but 67 we just blew everything away. And, 68 come along, we had a pretty good year. And then 69 things started getting confusing. We knew Dodge was coming with the wing car. And so I went and talked to the Plymouth people and I said, okay, what's the Plymouth gonna look like? Is it gonna have, well, you win all the races stuff. We ain't worried about you winning races, you just keep going. And I said, that ain't gonna work, guys. I said, just give me a Dodge. If you don't want to do it with a Plymouth, I'll run a Dodge. And they said, no, you're a Plymouth man. You're not gonna run a Dodge. And I said, well, I'm gonna go across the street and talk to the board. And they said, yeah, go ahead.
He tells the story, he's like, they said, yeah, you think you can, go. And he said he went over to the Ford building and got on the elevator and went to the top and told them what he wanted to do. And when he came down, he had a deal with Ford. And he called the Plymouth guys, and the Plymouth guys said, no way.
They blew all their flags at half mast, okay, for a while.
And they switched, and they switched, and we had a Ford here, and that was just bizarre for me. I was 9 years old. I'd never seen a Ford except Pearson's, and I thought that was the prettiest Ford in the world.
They were running competitively with the Fords almost immediately and did fairly well that season. But obviously it was not like being in Plymouth, which was sort of their home.
The guy that ran Plymouth at that time came down by himself, didn't have no lawyers with him or nothing. He came down by himself, sat down here at the Petty Enterprises and said, what would it take to get you back in Plymouth? And said, give me a wing.
By April of '69, Plymouth had said, okay, we'll get you a Superbird if you'll come back in 70. And he said, I'm back. It's amazing to me that he switched to Ford, and in the first 3 months had already committed to come back to Plymouth in 70 because of that Superbird.
When you consider what it took to build the Superbird in 1969, the only reason that happened was because Dodge had already created the Dodge Daytona, and the parts had already been prototyped, and they did a great job in getting those cars ready and prepared with very minimal testing. Petty did most of the testing on those cars after the 1970 season began.
It was important to win because you sold cars, especially in the Southeast, because that's where you were going to sell these cars. Ford did the same thing with the Torino, with the Talladega, with the Mercury Cyclone, with that slope nose that little bit.
The investment that the manufacturers made to say, okay, we want to win races on Sunday, right? That's what we want to do. We want to win races on Sunday. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to produce this car that people can buy, that they can watch race on a Sunday. We can watch Richard Petty win a race with, and that's going to make them want to buy it.
Motorsports meant profit. Motorsports meant sales. Motorsports meant we're going to kick your rear end on Sunday, and we're going to brag about it all day long in Detroit on Monday. And that's the way it was.
Hey Motorsports fans, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe before you go for all the latest news and highlights across motorsports.